Hi you guys, welcome to today's video. It's all about highlighting, contouring for dark skin. So the challenge is that many women have a challenge with contouring when you have darker skin tones because products don't typically go very dark. So it's harder when you're a dark skinned woman and at the end of the spectrum to find a product that is 3 to 4 shades darker than your skin tone in order to contour with. So I'm going to share some tips and tricks on how to highlight and contour with dark skin using some of the same products you have at home already. So some of the products that I'm going to list are going to be just general products, nothing, brand related, but something that you may have because my skin tone and your skin tone may be totally different. So I just want to give you these general products that I'm going to use in this video, and I will list the specific products that I'm using in this video down below. So first I'm going to start off this look by matching my foundation. I'm going to match the foundation, the first foundation I'm going to try, to the inner part of my face. Usually in women of darker skin tones, there's probably about 2 tones in the face. There's the inner circle and then the outer perimeter. Those tend to be 2 different colors. So I'm matching a foundation to the inner portion and the outer portion of my face, 2 different skin tones. Once I narrow the search down to 2 foundations, I'm going to use only those 2 foundations, wipe them off the face, and now it's time to apply primer all over the skin to prep the skin for foundation.
A little vacation and chasing blues away. You always posting the pictures, trying to look like you winning, or look like you always be working.
Now I'm going to look for areas on my skin that tend to get darker than the rest of my skin, so I'm going to cancel that out with this orange undertone under eye corrector, and I'm going to apply this everywhere on my face that has darkness so that I can cancel that out before applying the other products.
Baby, don't check for me. Taking time out to be and live my life off screen. Taking time out to be and live my life. I'm in a place serene and pure and free. Hey.
Now starting with the foundation that matched only the inner part of my skin tone, I'm going to apply this all over that inner portion of my face. It's kind of like an inner oval, I guess, and then blend it out with my beauty sponge. What I'm doing here is I'm basically lightening up the center of the face. When you're the darkest of the skin tone, typically you're not going to find many contour colors that go 3 to 4 shades darker. So a trick to get that highlight contour and get the contrast in the skin is to manipulate with light colors and lights and stuff like that. So what I'm doing is lightening up the skin in the center, so that way it creates a greater contrast with the foundation that actually matches the outer portion of my face and still creates depth and structure and creating the contrast that contour would create. So I'm going to create contour with the foundation that actually matches my skin by placing another foundation on the inner portion of my face that's a little lighter than my entire face. So now with the foundation brush, I'm just going to paint the foundation that I matched initially, that matched the outer perimeter of my face, and keeping that only on the outer perimeter, making sure to get around the jawline and my chin, because that's what matches my neck and chest. Now I'm going to take my beauty sponge and blend that into my skin.
I'm a hiatus. Baby, don't check for me. Taking time out to be and live my life off screen. Taking time out to be and live my life. Hey. Taking Just don't dip and live. Don't take it personal. We just building.
When you're doing this, don't forget to take your finger and kind of push that foundation into the beginning of your hairline, just so that you don't have that mask look, you know, with your foundation, just so that it's blended evenly. So now here's a trick I'm going to do to bring out some cheek definition. I'm going to create a cheek definition from the top of my ear, angled towards the corner of my mouth, and then blend it up towards my eye, almost as if, you know, like I was actually contouring with a darker foundation than my skin tone.
I'm a hiatus. I'm a hiatus. Baby, don't check for me. Taking time out to be.
Now I'm going to take a lighter concealer that is significantly lighter than my skin and begin to highlight underneath my eyes. I'm going to create 3 dots, one on the inner corner of the eye, the outer corner of the eye, and the corner of the nose. Connect those 3 dots and then fill in that triangle.
Hey, I ain't worried about what's the wave, only worry about me, yeah. Oh, I'm taking time out to be and live my life.
Now I'm going to create one straight line down the center of the nose to highlight the nose, and then a little starburst at the forehead between my brows in order to highlight my forehead. And then at the bend of my chin, I'm going to put a little highlight concealer there as well. Then I'm going to use my sponge to gently press on the highlighted area in order to blend it out. To blend out the highlighted area, I'm going to use the pointy part of the sponge only. This way it'll avoid blending the dark areas of the foundation and the light areas together, so that it won't look ruddy, but it'll keep everything separated and eventually create that ombre effect later.
I've been grinding, multiplying. I've been trying to get my weight up, staying prayed up, meditating and taking time away.
And then I'm going to go ahead and blend out my chin as well.
I'm writing rhymes in the kitchen, soaking in moments we live in, yeah. You got the nerve to be on me, faking your life for the IG. If you got my number, don't add me, cause baby, I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. I'm on hiatus. Baby, don't check for me.
Now with the concealer brush, I'm going to take the foundation that matches the outer perimeter of my face and apply contour to the outer corners, kind of hugging the highlight that I made on the center of the nose. I'm going to contour the outer portion of the nose, and because the center of the face is so bright and then we use the lighter concealer, this immediately creates contrast and makes it look like the contour is actually darker than my skin, when in fact it actually matches my skin tone. Now at the edge of the highlighter, I'm going to use the fat part of the Beauty Blender to blend that out so that the edges aren't so harsh. Now here's a trick I like to do, is take that light concealer that I used for highlighting and draw a line from the corner of my mouth straight up to the top of my ear, basically the top part of my sideburns. And with the pointy part of the sponge, I'm going to go over this back and forth in order to soften out the line. I'm not going to dab on it and press on it like I did the rest of the highlighted areas, but first I'm just going to go over it, making sure to keep that line the same like shape, but soften it out a little bit. And what this does is it creates a little bit of a highlight underneath the cheekbone to kind of give some depth and structure to the cheekbone, so it makes it look like it's contoured with a deeper color, but it's really not. It's just a little bit of highlight underneath it that makes it look like there are two different contrasting colors on the face. Once I soften out the line, I'm going to flip the sponge to the fat part of this beauty blender and blend the contour line onto that highlighted line just to soften it out so that it's not so harsh. And then once I do that, do you see the difference between the left side and the right side? How much more defined my cheeks are? So looking straight on, do you see how it looks like I worked with two different, foundations and concealers, and I contoured my face when really it was just the illusion of the highlighted concealer. So that's just a trick to show that, like with darker skin, you don't have to use a contour color, but just using with only a highlighter, it can give that same dimension. Now with the yellow based translucent powder, I'm going to highlight. I'm going to place this everywhere I place the highlighted concealer. Now you might use a orange based translucent powder or setting powder, but the last thing you want to do on darker skin is use a white or what they would call translucent powder, that clear powder. That's not really clear. It usually has some sort of color to it, but definitely with women of color, you definitely want to stick with like a yellow or orange, something warm color to set those highlighted areas with. Now I'm going to fill in the head of my brow, actually using a lip pencil, literally, you guys, because I like the color of it. It's very warm, this warm brown lip pencil. And then with the tail of the brow, I am going to use a eyeliner brush and fill it in with this volumizing brow tint. Now, doing my eyebrows don't necessarily have anything to do with highlighting and contouring the skin. However, I wanted to show how to highlight the brows, because that kind of ties in with highlighting and contour on darker skin. So now after I've shaped my brow and filled it in, I'm going to take a concealer brush and take a highlighting concealer shade that is about 2 to 3 shades lighter than my skin tone and highlight my brow bone on the outer third of the brow bone. And I'm going to outline the brow bone, blend it down, and then blend it in with my finger, and then go back to apply that yellow setting spray on that area. And that just helps to continue that highlighting trend through the center of the face, making it very bright. And then on top of all of that, I'm going to apply the face powder that actually matches my skin all over the face.
Baby, don't check for me. Taking time out to be and live my life off screen. Taking time out to be and live my life. I'm in a place serene and pure and free. Hey, I ain't worried about what's the wave, only worried about me.
Now I'm going to add the blush, a really vibrant color orange blush to my cheeks, and at an angle, that same angle that I created that faux cheek contour. And this also helps to add dimension and angles to the skin, as well as my cheek highlighter, which I'm applying with an eyeshadow brush and blending it into the blush. And then I'm going to use my finger to really soften that out on the skin so that it's not so streaky. Once it's blended out, I'm going to add another layer of highlighter. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm adding dimension again to the skin using light and playing with light instead of not so much contour. So when I'm putting light reflecting products on the face like highlight, it is creating like an area for the light in front of me, whatever natural light is going on around me, to bounce off the skin and like create dimension, and so that the angles and the tops of the cheeks and the chin and all that stuff isn't lost with like a camera flash or lights for production or anything like that. Normal places where highlight and contour are needed and used. After applying like 2 layers of that iridescent cheek highlighter, I'm going to switch to a gold eyeshadow, which is bright and has much more light and like shimmer to it, and apply this only to the center of where I applied the previous highlighter, just to make it a little bit more lighter and brighter. Thank you guys for watching this week's video. See y'all in the next one. Bye guys.